NASCAR 26, set to release, of course, sometime later this year, but so far we haven't really heard anything about it. But just in the last couple of days, we got maybe a little bit of hint at some news on the way soon. Now let's look at NASCAR 25. We first got the truly official announcement for the game on January 22nd of 2025 when they announced that we would have 4 series in the game, followed up by dev diaries that would come out in February. We would get some in March, and as well we would get a dev diary in May. Now, following that, we would then get a developer Q&A with Matt Lewis in June. So after that, we would get the launch day announcement, but that didn't come all the way until July 24th. Of course, the game came out in October. Now, the interesting bit before we dive into what NASCAR 25/26 has just recently kind of hinted at on Twitter, keep in mind this year as well, there's also the obstacle of navigating around the new IndyCar game with IndyCar 26 releasing at some point this year as well. We'll talk more about that momentarily, but NASCAR The Game just tweeted out on April 21st that the NASCAR 25 game has now had an official price drop. It brings the game currently down to 50 United States dollars and 60 Canadian dollars. Absolutely wild, by the way, to think that a price drop brings the game down to the price that I used to pay full price for a game about 10 years ago, which is really demoralizing at some points. But what was even more interesting about this tweet, obviously it's clear we're moving on from NASCAR 25, getting ready for NASCAR 26 with this price drop. But one user, Stan, actually says, how about a news drop soon? Obviously alluding to NASCAR 26. They would simply respond with the eyes emoji, and then also NASCAR Gaming and Esports account would reply with like the little write it down emoji, and then on top of that the NASCAR account themselves responds with like the little eyeglass like paying attention type emoji. So it's pretty clear, obviously they are all linked together and on top of things, and it seems like we will be getting some sort of news in the coming weeks or maybe to month, hopefully. And what my expectation would be is if we look back on what we just talked about with the NASCAR 25, release window and kind of the news and the dev diaries. Obviously, there's a very different path to the release of this game because we had already had several dev diaries out, 3 or 4 dev diaries out by this time last year. We haven't had a single dev diary this year. I'm not sure if we're going to get those, but I am expecting sometime here in the coming month, May to June at the latest, you would expect an official, at least, game announcement saying, hey, NASCAR 26 is on the way. And then at that point, it's all about, okay, when's this game actually going to come out will determine the news that we're going to get. Now, here's where it gets interesting, right? So we have some big things this year coming in around the same window as when we usually get a NASCAR game. So let's keep in mind NASCAR 25 came out in October of last year. This year we have an IndyCar game coming out on top of that, made by also iRacing Studios. You would think they would not want to release both of these games super close together, like within a month of each other. You wouldn't think that would be something they want to do. Obviously we could be wrong, but my expectation was you would want to get one of those games out a few months before the other. That way you're not overlapping those two games. And my expectation would be maybe you would want to get the IndyCar game out first because of the fact that their season ends earlier. Also, they have maybe spent a bit more time working on the IndyCar game versus the NASCAR 26 specifically. So I would hope that IndyCar would come out and then, maybe you have a month or two at least before NASCAR 26 comes out. And if we're sticking with that October window, that's also going to be interesting because then the game comes out like a month before Grand Theft Auto 6. So is that another obstacle, I wonder, that they are paying attention to? Because, a lot of people these days are in a bit tighter of a window financially and are looking at literally only a few games per year. And are they going to buy NASCAR 26 if it only comes out a month before GTA 6? Or are they just going to save their money to get GTA 6. The reason I bring this up is because it's a valid concern I've actually heard from people in my live stream chats and just like talking to friends and whatnot. It is a genuine concern I have heard and wanted to bring that up. And you guys tell me below as well, if NASCAR 26 comes out in say October, GTA 6 is coming out, you know, a month later after that. If this is the case, of course, we still don't know the official release, but just based off NASCAR 25, would you skip the NASCAR game just to make sure you can get or get GTA 6? I would love to hear your thoughts down below. And another reason that brings that up is, you know, EA/Codemasters effectively actually canceled their F1 26 game because originally it was going to come out in the same time window as GTA 6. So then they just completely shifted everything and only committed to a DLC, and of course have moved the next F1 game to 2027. You don't want to release a game around GTA 6 because you're just going to get destroyed in sales numbers because everyone's just focused on that one game. Also, Dale Earnhardt Jr. recently tweeted about just simply getting rolling and getting the NASCAR 26 soundtrack put together. So it's pretty clear we are getting closer to kind of that NASCAR 26 news drop. I would not be surprised if sometime here in May, NASCAR 25 game tweets, you know, something simple, just like a major tease. Of course, the first thing we're looking for is when they change the account name to NASCAR 26 game. They'll change the banner, their profile picture as well. But we're getting close to some news. I think the news is going to be pretty straightforward. It'll be probably just like, I feel like it'd be a big statement if they just simply tweet out a new profile picture or something like with the 26 logo, like get ready, it's coming. But really the big question for me is that release window. Personally, all the points I just made about the whole GTA 6 and the IndyCar game conflictions as well, I hope this game still doesn't come out to like a October window because they just need more time to cook, because there is a lot of flaws in NASCAR 25. So I welcome news soon, which seems like they're hinting at, but I welcome them taking their time, making sure they work out all the flaws with NASCAR 25, and then of course also add on top of that with a lot more features, because to convince people to get NASCAR 26, we're going to need a lot more than we had in NASCAR 25, and that all starts from, of course, AI fixes with pit road. Of course, we have the bad restart glitch that never got fixed for whatever reasons. The AI just downright faster in a straight line than the player on the same engine. That's something that needs to be fixed. There's a lot of overhauls needed. Of course, the AI need a lot more variation in running order, not just running specifically to their rating on a specific racetrack. Career mode, we need silly season. We need crossplay in online. There's a lot of things needed. We're going to dive into a full video of in the next month or so, once they announce NASCAR 26 officially. We'll definitely make a video on here's what needs to happen. But I mean, those are some of the basic things. And if they go for an earlier window, I'm not a full believer in all those things being accomplished. And even in an October window, I still don't know if all those things are going to get accomplished with new features that I want, like a silly season. I think, again, I talk about this every time I talk about the next NASCAR game. I think a silly season is the number one thing you need for the career mode if you're going to add any longevity to your game. Drivers need to climb the ladder. Nothing's more frustrating than me working up the ladder of series, but all the stars being stuck in their series and they can never go forward. But nonetheless, that's going to do it for me. We got news hopefully coming very soon. They're just subtly hinting at it, which is a good sign of I wouldn't expect anything until May. Of course, there's only like a week left in April. And then I think in May and especially June, I think the ball is really going to get rolling a little bit. And then it'll kind of quiet down. And then they'll really do that push in the month or two before the game comes out. But we'll have, I think, a lot more clarity on what's going on once we also know when the IndyCar game is coming out. Let me know your thoughts down below. That does it for me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day.